Welcome to the Vault Excel. Thank you for your time. Happy Hump Day, everybody. This is a two-part live pertaining to an 18-year-old woman who dials 911, making false allegations against a man she met online because she changed her mind about meeting him. Second part of this live is about trans females in prisons having sexual relations, sexual assaults against female inmates, and also impregnating them. This is older content. Thank you so very much. We're also going to hear from California. This legislation allows men who identify as women to be housed in female prisons. Now, I don't think they're always following through with that protocol, but it is a law there. And we're going to chop that up during this live stream. And we're also going to discuss a lawsuit out of New Jersey female inmate brought forward allegations of being sexually assaulted by an inmate there. And I do believe this inmate who got two women pregnant, is now, she, however you want to identify him or her, is now in a men's prison where I do not believe he's happy. She's happy to be. We're going to chop all that information up during this live stream. Two-part live, everybody. Happy Hump Day. Please stay hydrated and make sure you are well equipped to go outside. If you're going to be out in this heat and sun winded, please use your sunscreen, sun hats, sunglasses, so on and so forth. I'm going to bring you an update pertaining to Henry Dinkin. This is the nasty beast that I do believe sexually assaulted and unalived a young black girl. He dated her mother at one time, and this girl child shares a brother, which was his son. And there's an update now to his case. He's currently serving a life sentence in prison, but he has accumulated a new charge pertaining to drugs, federal drug charges. KCRG TB9 is the source.
The Quad Cities man spending life in prison for kidnapping and murdering a 10-year-old girl has been sentenced to an additional 120 months on federal drug charges. A judge found Henry Dinkin guilty in the death of Breja Terrell last September. She disappeared in Davenport in 2020, and her body was found months later in Clinton County. Dinkins was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms in prison without the possibility of parole. The drug charges are linked to a traffic stop of Dinkins over 5 years ago. Court documents say police found 5,600 ecstasy pills with methamphetamine. They say Dinkins intended to distribute them in Davenport. He will serve this sentence consecutive to the others.
All right, everybody, that's the latest on Mr. Dinkins. Charges coming from 5 years ago, federal drug charges, ecstasy. Wow, he was doing it up. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me. Hello, Mr. Bandit. Thank you all so much for joining the Queen this afternoon. Two-part live, everybody. That was an update pertaining to Henry Dinkin, serving 2 life sentences for unaliving Miss Breja. She was the sister to his son. He once dated her mother, lived with the mother. And it's a very disturbing case coming out of the Midwest. I covered that case. Feel free to go back in the YouTube queue to check out my content on that trial and the case of Henry Dinkins. Thank you for joining me. Now, let's get down to some nasty business. Woo, going back to the Midwest. Wow. People are really busy. I must say. People are really, really busy. After I discuss the 2 subject matters, we're going to go to my community page, and then I'm going to chop up the polls and your answers pertaining to yesterday's live stream, abortion, and Julian Assange, who is the founder of WikiLeaks. He has made a deal with our United States government, and he is now free. We're going to talk about what is he going to be doing with his life. How do you feel about him leaking the documents that Chelsea Manning gave to him and his cohorts? We're going to talk about all that as well during this live stream. Thank you for your time. It's now 4:08 p.m. Eastern time, in case you're curious. North Liberty woman arrested for calling police to get out a meeting online date. Man was detained for more than an hour due to false accusations, police said. This was uploaded today, everybody, 4 hours ago. A North Liberty woman who reportedly got cold feet just before meeting someone she met through a dating app was arrested after police said she falsely reported the man was threatening to assault her, leading to the man being detained for over an hour in a criminal complaint. Police said 18-year-old Somaya Thomas called 911 just after midnight on June 16th to report that her abusive ex-boyfriend was texting her, threatening to hit, punch, kick, stab her. She also allegedly reported that she was pregnant with the man's baby. However, officers found the man leaving the scene. He reportedly told officers he had only just met Thomas about a week ago on a dating app. Then they changed from talking via the app to exchanging text messages. The man showed police the text conversation, which officers said corroborated his story. When officers interviewed Thomas, they said she reported having known the man for 2 years and that she was pregnant with his baby and that he had been abusive to her and wouldn't leave her alone. After a third interview, police said Thomas admitted to making the false reports because she got cold feet before meeting him and no longer wanted to. During the interview, Thomas reportedly told police she didn't think officers would help, so she made up the events. So when she says help with what? Getting rid of him? What? What was he doing? What was he saying? Did they meet outside, in the house? What really happened? It's very strange information. The man was detained for more than an hour due to the false accusations. Thomas is charged with 2 counts of false report of indictable offense to public entity and 1 count of false report 911 call. 9ABC KCRG is the source for this information. So here we have a black female. She appears to be black. Somaya Thomas, 18, bringing forward these false allegations. Let's repeat what she said he did to her, which later is to be false. Texting her, threatening to hit, punch, kick, stab, pregnant with his baby. Wow. Met him a week ago on a dating app. Which app was it? Went from talking via the app to exchanging text messages. The man showed text conversation, which corroborated his story. He showed this to the officers. She claimed she knew the man for 2 years, pregnant with his child, had been abusive to her, wouldn't leave her alone. What in the hell is wrong with you, Somaya? Let the queen talk to you for a minute, Miss Lady, because you obviously have some serious issues. What's confusing about all of this is that he was at the house and apprehended. So he obviously made a point of getting there. So what is it about him that made her change her mind? Because one would have to ask this question, because the story doesn't make any sense if you don't ask. So Somaya, tell us what happened at your house. And is she in jail? Did she bond out? Does she have children? Does she live alone? 1,000 questions you can ask. Blah, 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 blah. It's a stupid story, but this is what America's made of. Stupidity. Now, many of us have probably done some stupid stuff, not to this capacity involving 911. I don't believe in calling 911 for frivolous situations because there are people who are in need of 911 services. And as we have learned, some of you may not have, but please don't call them if it's a noise disturbance, because that's not an emergency. Well, now, of course, we already know about that, wrangling with landlords about noise, this and that. That's what they're going to tell you. That's a landlord problem. But anywho, what really happened? Because I'm confused at what happened once he got to her location. House, apartment, trailer, what? What happened? How did he get there? Car, walk, what? Somaya, would you like to enlighten us and tell us what the hell happened? What made you change your mind? Did he talk sex talk? Did he call you saying he wanted to have sex, or you didn't like something he said, or you just got a bad feeling about him, so you decided, oh, he's already here? I'm confused. So when he got there, did he speak to her? Did he knock on the door? Did he sit on the front step? Explain it, because this article leaves all that out. And naturally, each article will have something different. So I'm confused at the setup of him getting there. And he's apprehended leaving. So where did you all apprehend him? At the corner? Stoplight? What? Crossing the street? In his car? What? Did he ride a bicycle, moped? What? Because I'm confused. This is ridiculous. Didn't know each other long. He shows his conversations to the police. How many texts did they send back and forth? Did they swap pictures, physical pictures of one another? Did they ever get to that point of swapping pictures? Naturally, it's not a good idea to meet a person and you haven't seen what they look like. I don't recommend it. Even if it's in public, I still don't recommend it. Always video chat, either on the site if they offer the option or when you get off the site. And why men and women don't want to talk on the site when they have video chat is a mystery to me. That's one thing I never could understand about the date site. They give you the option to video chat, and some have a line where you can call on the date site. They still don't want to do that. Very, very bizarre. I don't want to text. Well, who wants to leave one texting site to text on a phone? That's stupid too. So how did this all go down? I'm confused. I don't really understand what the hell happened. So let me see what else I can find, because I had some other information stored on this stupid story. This is a very stupid story. Wasting resources. What should our punishment be? Take the poll. It's on my community page. What should our punishment be? Because this is some bizarre nonsense pertaining to this stupid 18-year-old female. Does she work? Does she go to school? Who does she live with? Does she have parents? Is she raised by her parents? Does she have mental problems? So you got to ask all those questions, because something led to this nonsense of dialing 911. Why couldn't she have just told him, I think we should meet another day? So that's why I need to know what changed her mind, because he left her place. So did he go knock on the door? She didn't answer. Did he holler out? Did he call? Hey, I'm here. That would piss a person off. They get all the way to your apartment, your home, and then you don't open the door. Oh, yeah. I think the average person would be pissed the fuck off. And they might become violent, enraged. Because that's not right for you to have somebody come to your house, come to your location. Midway through, you decide to say, oh, I changed my mind. Which, of course, it is your option. You are grown. You're entitled to change your mind. But I'm sure a person would be angry depending on how far they had to drive or get there by transportation, however, public or a ride, however it was going. See, we don't really know what the hell's going on with this chick. We don't really know what was said in the text messages. They're not telling us that there was anything else nefarious in the messages, such as, transaction of, hooking up. Hey, you want to do a little something? I don't know, because I'm confused. I don't really know what the transaction, because they don't state it in the article. So I really don't know. I just know she shouldn't have called 911. She should have just told the guy, because that's who she was supposed to be meeting, that she changed her mind. And that would be the end of the conversation. That's all she had to do. Well, thank God he did cooperate. Because, yes, we do have some very frisky police officers. Let me look in this article to see if there's something different. Okay. The majority of the conversations took place over Snapchat. This is by The Independent. She has a very crazy looking mugshot. Hair all over her head, not combed. Don't know what day this arrest picture was taken. She don't look too good. Upon arriving at the scene, the officer with the North Liberty Police Department spotted the man leaving the residence. So he left the house. So he did leave the house. So see, this is even more crazy. What happened in that house? Because now this puts a new spin on everything. The man told an officer he started speaking to the woman a week ago on a dating app. The two then moved their conversations off the platforms and started to text. The man showed police, blah, 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 texting conversations. Police then confirmed that the messages were sent to the woman's phone number. He was detained for over an hour due to the false allegations. Naturally, during the third interview, she admits she had got cold feet on meeting him and no longer wanted to. The complaint says she advised she didn't think officers would help, so she made up this call and the events that she described. She was arrested June 16th on 2 false reporting charges, which are both misdemeanor crimes. The woman was later released from the Johnson County Jail. Okay, so this one has a little bit more than the other article. This was my original article I had found. Independent is the source for this information. Let's see what the people are saying in the comment box. Marla says, and this is the next generation that is supposed to lead us in the future and help run this country. Boy, somebody replies back to her, Darrell Castillo. Ooh, you're very nasty. Really? That's a loaded question. What the F? I'm glad you're dumb as hell, just like your president, making SHIT up as you go, shaking my effing. Ooh, these people are nasty. Grooveland says, always be responsible for the things you do. Therefore, think twice, speak or act once, and maybe, just maybe, you won't get locked up for doing stupid SHIT. Somebody told that Edward guy, take your political BS somewhere else. It's nothing to do with this article, which I do agree. I hate when people do that. I always got to bring in something about the president according to what people do. The president has nothing to do with what the fuck people are doing out here in the street. I don't care which president's in office. What does it have to do with what the people are doing in the street? Nothing, nothing, nothing. You out here doing this stuff because you choose to. And believe me, when people are doing stupid shit, they ain't doing it because of the president in the White House. They ain't doing it because of the governor or the mayor. They're doing it because they choose to. D-Dog says, needs to be punished. A decent man minding his own business and doing nothing wrong does not need this drama. Then Kanara says, how do you know that he's decent? Then somebody replies to Kanara, are you justifying this woman's actions? Oh, Lord, everybody's upset. Bradley says to Kanara, are you effing kidding me? Oh, Lord. Human Expression says, wait, some guy wanted to take it for a date? It looks like there couldn't be too many guys who are breaking down her door to date her. Now, Human Expression, that's not nice. She was just having a bad hair day. Mr. D said she probably catfished him, and that's why she didn't want to meet him. Okay? Well, let's talk about that. Interesting commentary there in the chat box under the article. If she knew she was not the person in the picture, or let's just say she looked different. Let's say she gained weight because she appears to be a heavyset black woman, excuse me. Why not just be truthful? That's why I said if you show your real pictures, you video chat with the person, they can see you for what you are. Now, 2, it is up to him or her to decide if they want to meet you or not after seeing your photographs, video chat. That's a personal decision. So if he didn't meet her before going over to her house, that's on him. Because what did I say? I don't recommend going to meet anybody if you have not video chatted. We have modern technology. There is no reason for anybody to ever say, I didn't know what he looked like. This is not 1980, 1990, where you're responding to a fucking personal ad in the newspaper, or you're chatting in one of those old-time chat rooms from the mid-2000s. It is 24. So if you go out here stupidly to meet somebody at their house or their apartment or wherever without meeting them, you should know, 1, you're risking your safety, no matter if it's morning, noon, day, or night. 2, you don't know what they look like, and you're only judging them on the picture, and you cannot go by just the picture. Trust me, Queen has stories she can spin, honey. People will lie, send a picture of somebody else, because as most of you know, I've been on the date sites before, and they will send fake photographs. They'll pretend to be somebody else. They'll be foreigners using nice-looking photographs of other men. It's just sad. But what I keep trying to tell people is, this is what's out here. It doesn't matter if you meet them on the date site, Facebook, Snapchat. It doesn't matter. People are people. And if you are a fraud on Snapchat, a fraud on the date site, Facebook, you are a fraud, period. And that's what people need to understand. Because I get this from people all the time. Oh, you shouldn't go on a date site. You shouldn't go on a date site. Well, what do you think these people are doing that's walking around you? That's what amazes me when people say that. What do you think these people are doing in their spare time? The guy at the grocery store, the girl behind the Starbucks counter. I love throwing Starbucks in there for some crazy reason. The guy at the car rental place, the guy that sits next to you at work in a cubicle, the lady that sits next to you in a cubicle. A lot of people on the date sites, you just don't know about it because they haven't told you, because it's none of your business. A lot of people on the date sites, a lot of men are on them, a lot of truckers are on them. Ding, 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 ding. A lot. Okay? But nobody has to walk around bragging to people and enlightening them that they're on the damn date site. It is your choice to have privacy to do as you see fit. So this is my recommendation to you as a human being. People are people. And a lot of married men are on there. A lot of men who are in relationships are on them. I've seen people I know in the community on the date sites, the guys, and I'm looking like, what the hell is he doing on here? So he's probably looking at me, what the hell are you doing on here? And a few have messaged me, hey, how you doing? What you doing on here? And I'm like, minding my business. That's what I'm doing on here. I'm on here minding my business. Get out my inbox. But the point I'm trying to make is that you've got to stop judging people for being on the date site. It is a person's choice if he or she wants to be on there. Some people are genuinely wanting to meet someone, wanting to meet a mate, a husband, a wife. That is his or her choice. That's nobody's business. The problem is not being truthful. The problem is if you're fraudulent and you're up to no good, you're trying to find a way to scam, scheme, rob, sexual assault, so on and so forth. That's where there's a problem. Okay? Hello, Perspective. That's where there's the problem. And as I said before, if you're on there to steal, rob, con, manipulate, prostitute, whatever, you're doing that anyway. Ding, 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 ding. News alert. You're doing that anyway. So it doesn't matter. So if you're a liar, a thief, you're doing that without the date site. Date site is just a tool. Social media is just a tool. To me, the date site is no different than X, YouTube. It's all the same. You talk. Then you ask the people, do you have an email? Do you have a way I can contact you? It's all the same. All these apps are the same. Somebody trying to reach out to somebody for some crazy ass reason or some plausible reason. The point is, once you make the exchange, that's on you how you navigate thereafter. And I just don't recommend it. I speak from experience. Any advice I give you is from experience. It's not from an assumption. Not no assertion. It's what I've actually experienced. And I can say, going off of an app, meeting people, I don't care what the app is, I don't recommend it. I don't. And I can say that from being on Facebook, IG, YouTube, the date site. I don't recommend it. I'm great, Perspective. How are you? Hello, everybody in the chat. Welcome all new subs, new viewers, old viewers, subscribers. Thank you for joining me. Hit that like button and subscribe. This is just a cautionary tale, once again, of what's out here. And that person, the woman who made the comment, people, this is what's out here, the generation, crazy young generation, just doing stupid stuff. And stupid stuff leads to more stupid stuff. That's what people don't seem to understand. We already had the Carly Russell business in Alabama last year, pretending to see a kid on the highway walking. Then she got kidnapped, blah, blah, blah. Then she finally admitted the truth when they showed her, footage of her on the highway. Nobody out there but her. There is something wrong with you when you lie. A lot of people say, oh, I hate a thief. Well, you should hate a liar. Probably should hate a liar more than a thief. Because at least with the thief, you know what to expect. But a liar is not readily seen as a liar. Okay? Many people are dealing with liars and don't know they're dealing with liars. So you're talking about an 18-year-old. So she's 18. That Carly Russell nonsense, she was what, 25, 20-something? The point I'm trying to make is that you don't wake up and start lying. Okay? You don't wake up and start lying. Lying comes from somewhere deep. And if you're 18 lying about not wanting to meet a person and you got to call 911, could have got the boy hurt, anything, you're troubled. You have a troubled spirit. And that's what people need to understand about this crime. Misdemeanors, perhaps, but you could have got that guy hurt. He could have wigged out. Because really, I'm going to use my better thinking. There's something still off with the story that we're not getting all of the information. Because what we're not getting is the police says he left the residence. When you say leave the residence, that is going to lead people to believe he was inside of the house, the apartment, trailer, condo, whatever it is. So now you got to ask the ultimate question. I'm surprised nobody has picked up on this in the chat. If he left the residence, that means he was inside of the house. Come on, somebody, help the queen out. Then what the hell happened in the house for her to call 911? Bingo card. There you have it, right there. Live like Memorex. So Somaya, Mr. X, whoever you are, what happened inside of the residence? Because I'm confused. He's seen leaving the residence. We arrest him. Okay, well, what happened inside of the residence? See, nobody's addressing that in the chat. You all are talking about everything else but that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Perspective. You all are talking about everything else in the chat but that. Did you not hear that part of the story? He was arrested leaving the residence. So I'm going to accept he left out her house. So how long was he in there? What happened in there? Now the plot thickens. Somaya, what happened inside of the house? Who lives there? Whose house is it? Do you rent? Your name on the lease? Mommy house, daddy, grandmama, auntie, cousin, apartment, shed? What is it? Trailer? What is it? Third floor walk up, fourth floor walk up, second floor walk up? What are we talking about? Apartment building, skybox? What are we talking about? What happened in the apartment, Somaya? Did he sexually assault you, Somaya? Did he get inside and he didn't like you? He walked out? He walked in, he tried to take advantage of you? He took advantage of you? What the hell happened? Yes to what, Luminous? What are you yesing to, sweetheart? What happened in the apartment house? Because I'm going to bank he went in. The article says he left the residence. So leaving means he had to have been inside. You didn't say he stood outside, banged on the door, she never came, he left. You said he left, so we're going to assume he went inside. Somaya, what happened inside of the apartment house, sir? What happened inside? Because I believe that is why she called 911. Something happened in there. Now, it's the in there that we're curious about. What happened? Why the hell did she share her personal information, especially her residence? Because people do. People do it all the time. People do it with old friends, acquaintances, new acquaintances. This is why I keep telling you, we live in a world now where people talk all the time. People, you go in businesses, they call your whole government name out. Anybody can Google you. Just like if you go get your oil change, let's say. And you're sitting there waiting for your car, and then they call you up. And let's say your last name is Jones. Hi, Miss Jones, blah, blah, blah. Well, who's to say a person don't get a hold of your name while sitting there, creepy crawly sitting in there? Write down your tag number, anything. We are too trusting as people. That's the problem. We're just too trusting as people. And one thing I've seen dealing with social media especially, and I hate to call it social media only because people make up social media. So people are the problem. Walkie-talkies. Living walkie-talkies. Talk. Tell every damn thing. And young people tend to like to talk and tell every damn thing. You got to stop doing that. Older people, everybody's doing it. How you doing? Oh, my cat, my foot, my ankle. Man, I didn't ask you all that. And people don't realize that. Somebody say, how you doing? They didn't say, what the fuck's wrong with you today? They said, how are you? You either say, I'm good, I'm bad. But that don't mean I want to hear you and your mom fell out, the cat got sick. You know, Queen loves to talk about cats and dogs for some crazy reason. Don't ask me because that's all people talk about. Everywhere you go, talking about a cat, talking about a dog. It's like, damn. Do you deal with humans? Just saying. But anywho, talking too much, telling stuff is what people do. They have to divulge everything. You have got to be careful everywhere you go. Where your name is mentioned, people have access to see your car. Walking into buildings, people can see you. They know where you live. It's just the way the world is. But we have creepy, crawly people out here. And people talk too much. So people tell things, even if it's not even about a dating situation. You go somewhere and you can just be making idle chit chat. Oh, it's hot outside. Or I walked over here to the store, and first thing the person will say behind the counter, well, where do you live? And then you stupidly tell them, oh, I just live down the street, or I live across the street. You have to be careful telling people things. Because one day you might be in the store and the wrong person might be in there, ear hustling, and you might know the person, may not know the person, but you don't want everybody in your business. And then here goes the store clerk telling everything. Oh, hey, how you doing? How's the apartment coming? How's the house coming? Did you get the paint put up? Blah, blah, blah. Now everybody in the fucking store knows you live right across the street from the fucking store. Or you live around the corner, because people talk too much and people like to announce stuff. I hate that. I'm a real stickler about announcing stuff in public, because there are a lot of wagon mouths that work in retail restaurants, and they'll tell all your business standing right there. Now, everybody in the room knows where you live, what color your car is, all because of the person working behind the fucking counter. This is what I'm trying to make you all understand. Know your surroundings, know the people you're talking to. And if you have to hush up the person behind the counter, you say, hey, pipe that down. I don't need everybody knowing where the hell I stay. I don't need everybody in the store knowing what's going on with me. I want to know what happened with Somaya and this boy. Didn't mean to veer off topic, but just saying, we live in a society where people talk too much, tell things, divulge things. People meet on apps, and then they foolishly tell the area they live in. Then next thing you know, they're telling where they stay. It happens all the time. This is why when you first meet people on apps, you should not tell them where you live. Now, if it's somebody you've known for years and you reconnected and you decide you want to tell him or her, hey, yeah, I live over here on 15th Street, that's your prerogative. But a complete stranger, I don't recommend you tell your exact location. This is why it's best to, yes, meet in public, go on the date, movies, whatever, and leave it right there. Now, we're all consenting adults. If you decide you want to go back to his place, her place, that is your choice. If you want to go to a hotel, your choice. But you have to know the ramifications of going to a strange location, either in their car or in your car. You don't know people, and that's just the bottom line. This could still have been a dangerous situation where somebody could have gotten robbed. He went in her house. She had set him up. He could have been robbed, killed. Same thing with her. She invites him in. He could take advantage of her, beat her in the head, cut her throat, leave her for dead. This is why it's not good to let people come in your house. But the flip side is you could still go on several dates, 5, 6, 7 dates, finally go to somebody's house or apartment. They still could beat you to death and kill you. It's just the way it is. Because you don't know people. I was watching one of those crazy shows yesterday on YouTube. Young black woman working for an airline in North Carolina, Charlotte. And she starts dating this guy online, date site. He lives in South Carolina. She's commuting back and forth, going to see him. And, things didn't end well. She found out he was cheating. She drove to South Carolina. She confronted him. They had an altercation. He shot her in the back of the head. Then he lied, covered it up. And he had the other girlfriend help him dispose of her car. And he set it on fire in the forest. And she was in the car, allegedly the back seat, which that didn't make any sense either. Because I thought, how could she be in the back seat? I'm following you in my car. I don't see her lying back there because I don't think she was in the trunk. Either way, it's still jacked up. The point I'm making is you don't know people. That's the point. You're only worth your word. So if you tell somebody you're a flight attendant, you work 5 days out of the week, you live on 15th Street, you don't have children, your parents live in Toledo, Ohio, then that's all a person has to go on. Whoops. Sorry about that. That's all they have to go on is your word. Let's go to my community page and hear what you all have to say about what should happen to Somaya Thomas, 18. What should the penalty be for the false reports to the police department? What should the penalty be? What should her punishment be? Somaya Thomas, 18, was arrested for false allegations against an online date she decided not to meet. What should be her punishment? 1 year probation, fines, etc., 48%. 1 year in jail, 15%. 1 year in prison, 10%. More than 1 year in prison, 8%. Not sure, 20%. No comments. So most of you believe she should just get the 1 year probation, fines, etc. How is that enough? How's that enough time? Filing a report, wasting resources from law enforcement, accusing a man of beating you, hurting you, stalking you, all of this nonsense. And as someone in the chat said, he could have gotten hurt, especially if he's a black man. You don't know the attitudes of the cops that will come on the scene. If they were in a funky mood, they could have rough handled him, all of that, and all of this would have been over a misunderstanding. And he could have ended up a fucking George Floyd story, sitting here trying to explain himself. Hey, it's a mistake. Nothing happened. I didn't do anything. I just met her. And before you know it, he's got a knee to the neck and he's suffocating. So yes, indeed. This could have ended up a very terrible situation. Perspective says more than 1 year in my eyes. Yes, because people keep doing these things, calling 911 for fake phone calls. And it has to stop because you're tying up the line for somebody who's in need of help. So the time that the dispatcher is playing hopscotch with you, police officers, sheriffs are going out to your residence for a fake crime. Somebody is possibly really being kidnapped, hurt, beat up, shot, stabbed while they're wasting time with you because you're mad at the world or you're immature or you're schizophrenic, psychotic. That's a problem. So yes, I think it's time. Start putting them in jail. Put them in prison. It's a lie. Your ass is going to prison. That'll stop that. But then we know, when did prison ever stop anything? When did jail ever stop anything? Exactly. So it's a flip of the coin. People murder, assault, steal, rob, and they know you can go to jail and spend a lot of time in prison, and they still do it. So, hell, if the law changes and says we will start putting you in jail for 2 years for lying, fake phone calls, and restitution to the city, they'll still do it. Papini, fake kidnapping, 2 Mexican women, lie. Carly Russell, white man and another woman, lie. You have crazy people out here. That's the point. Let's get to my next story, and then I will read the polls and your answers. This is an older story from a year ago. A New Jersey inmate claims she was sexually assaulted by a trans prisoner in a women's prison. This was uploaded 9 months ago. Okay? Very wicked story. The prison is no longer open because they had so many allegations of guards assaulting inmates, allegations of sexual assault with inmates amongst each other, and other improprieties. This women's prison is no longer functioning. A female New Jersey prison inmate claims she was sexually assaulted by a transgender convict whose aggressive actions were not stopped by staff inside a notorious women's penitentiary. An unidentified female inmate has sued the New Jersey Department of Corrections after claiming she was sexually assaulted at the now closed Edna Mahan Correctional Facility for Women in Clinton. She has accused the state's DOC and prison guards of not taking corrective action about the sexually aggressive and harassing behaviors of the transgenders who have fully functioning male anatomy. The lawsuit filed August 29th in Hunterdon County Superior Court read. This was last year, 2023. In addition, 2 other female prisoners inside the facility have fallen pregnant because of sexual interactions with the transgender prisoners. The lawsuit viewed by My Central New Jersey said. Repeat that again, Queen. Female prisoners have fallen pregnant by the transgender prisoners. The unidentified female claims she was sexually assaulted by the transgender inmate in September and October 2022. She says she reported the issues to Edna Mahan employees, but she was given disciplinary retaliation charges instead, My Central Jersey reported. Who is this woman? Where is she? And where does the lawsuit stand today? So, remember what I just said. Edna Mahan Correctional Facility has been closed in New Jersey. Allegations of men identifying as women being in the prison. Why in the fuck would you allow a whole man to be in a prison with women? You're assuming what? He ain't attracted to a woman because he wants to be a woman? Bullshit. Bullshit. That's your ideology. Well, you know different now. The men have gotten up in there, and instead of them screwing a man, they're screwing women. Because that's the whole point. Desire, desire, desire. Horny, horny, horny. He's still a man. Whether he likes wearing eyeshadow or not, he still has a penis. And so his penis is now desiring sex with whomever is in there. And whichever way he can use his penis. So we know where the penis can go. We don't need to explain. That's an assumption. Well, he wants to be a girl. He ain't going to want to be with a girl. Well, that's your ideology. Obviously not. Obviously not. Let me ask you this before I get into that. Should a person receive jail time or prison for dialing 911, making full claim of assault, theft, or any alleged crime? 76% yes. 2% no, 5% not sure, 2% don't care, and depends on the claim, 16%. Sorry about that. FYI, California allows trans women to be housed in women's prison. Is this right? 9% yes, 75% no. 9% not sure, 7% not sure, 289 votes. Thank you. 4 people replied. Pinto says, no way. Chris Wells, good morning, beautiful queen. No, but hell no. Heidi says, absolutely not. And Luna says, absolutely not. Prisons will have to make a separate section for trans men. Wait a minute. Section for trans men and one for trans women. It shouldn't be dictated by what you identify as. It shouldn't even be dictated by your sex organs. They need to have their own separate section so that everyone can be safe. So that's California law. That a man identifying as a woman can be housed in a women's prison. Take the poll. Who is this woman from New Jersey claiming sexual assaults from transgender inmates? Where is she now? Where does the lawsuit stand? And where's the guy bringing forward who's gotten the women pregnant? That's also been mentioned in that commentary that I just read to you. Let me go back over that just briefly so I make sure I'm repeating everything correctly. New York Post is the source of this information of the allegations and the lawsuit. Once again, 2 other female prisoners inside the facility have fallen pregnant because of sexual interactions with the transgender prisoners. She was retaliated against once she told that she was assaulted from September and October 2022. She accuses the DOC of not taking corrective action about the sexually aggressive and harassing behaviors of the transgenders. So that was plural, who have fully functioning male anatomy in the lawsuit filed August 29th in Hunterdon County. Where is this lady today?
Had sex with another inmate at the Edna Mahan Correctional Facility for Women in Clinton. That's the Department of Corrections. Last year, Edna Mahan began housing transgender inmates who identify as female. That's after a lawsuit filed by a trans woman who was forced to live in men's prisons. The DOC would not provide details on what actions they took in response to the pregnancies, but says they're taking measures to ensure the health and the safety of all inmates there.
So you see, a lawsuit came about because I guess a trans woman was harassed, didn't feel comfortable in a men's prison, bullied, blah, blah, blah. I also read stats that a lot of the transgenders have sexual assault records. Dressed up as a woman don't mean he always desired men. He may have slept with women or men, both, and or sexually assaulted both. Because the point is you don't know people. So I found that stat very interesting. That majority of the transgendered men, women in the prison, or the transgendered women rather, do have sexual assaults on their records. Very interesting information. So here I bring you information about women getting pregnant. One woman even wanted to marry this certain guy, black guy. She got pregnant by him. She said her family's going to take care of the baby. And she wanted to marry him. This is crazy. So you marry him, you get out, he gets out. Guess what? He ain't going to want you. He going to want to be with a damn man. This is crazy as hell. This is crazy as hell. Giving you a little bit of information pertaining to transgender women in prisons. Fox 26 Houston is the source of this next information pertaining to this man who got moved out of that same prison and now is in a male prison, and he gotten 2 female inmates pregnant. Thank you for joining me. Well, not everybody gets bullied, honey, but, you know.
Uncensored issue of the New Jersey jail system. A transgender female inmate has been moved to a men's prison after impregnating 2 other biological female inmates. We're talking about Demi Moore, or Demi Minor rather. Don't want to make that mistake. Demi Minor. She was born male, but she started her transition as a woman in 2020. Minor has been blogging about her experience in the men's facility. She says she suffered physical and psychological abuse despite her own actions of getting women pregnant in the female facility.
I just wanted you to see the environment. So they put 5 of us in here, and I'm just being patient right now. So it's difficult. It's frustrating. I just wanted you to see what's going on.
Now, in New Jersey, you have the opportunity
See
as
what?
an
What
inmate
can he
to
see?
decide where you go.
Crazy.
If you identify as a female, even though he clearly looked like a male there, but that's in the Jersey prison system. Let's get to our guests from both sides of the fence who both agree no one with a penis should be housed with females behind bars, but then my guests split sharply and quickly after that. Take a look. Is there a danger in allowing people to decide their gender in the prison system when there is no paperwork or history to prove it? Your thoughts on that, Jamie?
My personal thoughts on this subject are, if you have not gone through the entire gender reassignment surgery, I've never heard of people going to the prison of their choice. You know what I'm saying?
It happens in New Jersey.
Exactly,
And that's the reality.
Apparently it does. Apparently it does. But I am of the belief that if you still have a penis, then you belong in a men's prison, even if it's in a protected unit. But I don't feel like you belong in a female population where this sort of thing can and will happen.
Jamie, does this hurt your movement when people hear stories like this? Someone who says they are transgender female and then goes into a prison and get 2 females pregnant. Does that hurt the movement or those who are fighting for transgender rights around this country?
Oh, it absolutely does. It absolutely does, because it feeds into the fears that people already have where trans people are concerned. They already fear that females' safety is at risk if they're around a transgender woman. And so this situation just makes it look bad. It just does. There's no defending it.
And Tex, that's what we had here in the city of Houston a few years back when the bathroom ordinance came up. This is the type of thing you guys were concerned about as conservatives out there.
Absolutely. And I was very excited to be the tip of the spear on that and to do my part. Obviously, Marinese Parker came after me. She didn't like me standing up for the real women and children of our city. But that's what it took, was real men to stand up and be able to protect. Let me be crystal clear. What's happening right now is that the truth is advancing on the LGBTQ deception that was over our city here in Houston, all across Texas, and all across America, and all across the globe. There's no such thing as a trans anything. There's no transgenders. There's only 2. There's no trans woman. There's only a woman. Only a man can get a woman pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And only a woman can get pregnant. So all this confusion has all come about because of the Democrats writing these crazy laws and these policies.
Wow.
And now it's all being exposed. And Yahuwah, which is the Hebrew name for God, he hates pride. And it says right there in Proverbs 11 too, that when pride comes, then comes disgrace. And so this is why this community is saying, oh, this isn't making us look good.
Ooh, Lord.
The Bible
He's going off, ain't he?
There's only 2 genders. What is right is right, and what is wrong is wrong. And these people are evil, they're wicked, they're worse.
Boy, he's going
this
there.
is what you get. You don't get anything
Jeez.
good from it. So the Democrats agree with this.
Tex, let's hear from Jamie really quick. Go ahead, Jamie.
I literally was in agreement about the fact that nobody with a penis should be in a woman's prison. I said that. But to turn around and to say that I don't exist,
you do not. You're a man
existing
Oh, wow.
for years.
1 second, Tex.
You're a man.
I'm not a man, not in the eyes of
Tex, 1 second. You can only hear one at a time.
Exactly.
Hold on, Tex.
Jeez.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Sorry about that brief intermission. Boy, he said they don't exist. Transgender people. It's a sin. It's wrong. Woo, Lord, help me.
You find a part of me that's a man, you know what you can do with it. That's what I have to say about
Oh,
that.
my goodness. No, you didn't say that.
Part of me left that was ever. I wasn't born a man. I was born an infant. And I grew into a girl who grew into a woman. And whether you like that or not, that's just the fact of the matter.
I grew into a girl.
Deceived, and that's the fact of the matter. You are a man.
Oh,
and
Lord.
so this is the craziness that I'm talking about. We let these people out of the closet, and everything's getting crazy. What we all need to do is we need to return everybody back to their closets, lock the door, and throw away the key. What do you think of that?
Lock the key. Lock the door.
It has nothing to do with not being prejudiced. It's called being what is right, what is good, and evil is evil. You live a very evil, wicked, and perverse lifestyle, and the evidence is before all the viewers. All the viewers are looking at you right now. Tens of millions of people are looking at you, and they're saying, that dude is a man. They're not saying that you're a girl. I hate to, bust your bubble, but that's...
Well, I thought it was a girl at first, and I looked close.
Live in the real world.
Damn.
I'm not evil.
Jesus wept.
I'm not evil.
Jesus, help us.
First of all, okay, I'm not coming on here and calling you names and telling you what you are or not. That's on you to define yourself with. But you are not going to sit here and tell me
1 second, Tex.
what I am.
1 second, Tex. Give her a chance to
Yeah,
You're not
let her
going
talk.
to sit here and tell me what I am or am not. I know who and what I am, and you do not define me, sir. Nor does your God or anyone else. I define me. In this world, I define me.
What?
Sure. So the whole pride movement within the LGBTQ community is that you guys are so full of pride, and you guys are sitting there puffing yourself up. You're so arrogant, and you make everything being offensive and repulsive, and that you're superior amongst all of us that are normal. And that is wrong. That's full of pride, and that is evil. It is not good. And that is why the LGBTQ community is being exposed, that all the perversion is being shown. And this is why we get crazy news stories like this. This is why we get men sitting there trying to pretend to be a woman and playing basketball like a Brittany Griner, who's actually a guy, is not a woman. You get these people out here jumping in the swimming pool.
Tex, that's not accurate. I'm not going to let you just go wild with misinformation.
Yeah, that's not right.
Brittany Griner is a
woman.
female.
Yes.
The deception is what's being exposed. And so much so, in this case right here in prison, it's being exposed. It's all in due time. It's all in due time.
Wow.
All righty. Well, we want to thank you guys for joining us here on the Factor
What a
Uncensored. We appreciate
subject. That's Fox 26. Check out his content. He went and left the whole subject. The subject is about men and transgender women in prisons, and he took it biblical. He's taking it, which, that's his choice. But, it wasn't nice to say that she didn't exist. That's not a nice thing to say, that this person doesn't exist. They do exist. And you can't speak for God either to say that she doesn't exist in the eyes of God. And that is God's choice how he will handle us as civilians and people. Demi Minor should have initially been put in a prison among the female population. Should Demi Minor, the guy who identifies as a female, should he have been removed from that female prison and put in a man's prison? Well, the point is the prison closed, number one. Number two, it was a women's prison. Really, it's number one. It's a women's prison. It was. It no longer exists because of allegations of sexual improprieties against the inmates from the guards and all type of nonsense with inmates as well. He was at that New Jersey prison. No longer. Prison closed. A woman is suing an inmate for improprieties. I don't know if it's just by him or other people. He also has gotten 2 other women pregnant. I got that information. Demi Minor is now in a men's prison. In the picture, you'll see him with makeup and all that. But talking to this host, he looks like a full-fledged guy. I don't know why he was telling the host, as you can see what? It's an empty room. You're sitting in doing a damn interview. Was nothing to see. I don't really understand that interview. As you can see what? There was nothing to see. You're sitting on a stool talking on the phone. Very, very bizarre. Well, this is what he needs to understand. Is that you are a man. You're biologically a man with a penis. So you didn't have the right to go be housed in a women's prison just because you identify as a female. You're biologically a male. It's only right you go to a male prison. That's how I feel. If you are so worried about being hurt, ostracized, sexually assaulted, beat up, then you should stay your ass out of jail, stay out of prison. Don't break the law. That's just the way it is. Anything bad can happen to you in a prison. I don't care who you are, how you identify. You can get beat up, bullied, sexually assaulted, don't get medical care. It comes with the territory. So the best thing to do is try to keep your temperament cool, keep your vices to yourself, as not to get arrested. I'm going to bring a little bit more information about this transgender person was the subject of this information. And this was at that time. An incarcerated transgender woman who was moved to an all-male prison after she impregnated 2 others, held in an all-female prison, says she's terrified and now fears sexual assault and abuse. This article was written February 25th, 2023. So this was a year ago. I guess that's all the article has. I thought they had more on this article. Sorry about that. Demi, D-E-M-I, minor transgender woman, was incarcerated in New Jersey prison system because of an incident between her and inmates at an all-female Edna Mahon Correctional Facility, which resulted in 2 pregnancies. She is at an all-male Garden State Youth Correctional Facility. She says, I am approved for surgery, which has made my time in a male facility dangerous. So I have been on suicide watch numerous times. I'm losing weight. And truthfully, my mental health is a complete wreck. My understanding is when I read this information, he was a minor at the time of being incarcerated. 3 months in solitary, which means he was confined 22 hours a day. Somehow this article is not letting me read this. Anyway, he's in a male facility now, Mr. Minor. Daily Signal is my next source. A sexual assault survivor gave an inside look at living in a female prison with male criminals who say they identify as transgender in a new documentary released Tuesday by the Independent Women's Forum, a conservative group. 6-minute documentary, a part of Independent Women's Forum's Cruel and Unusual Punishment, the Male Takeover of Female Prisons series, focuses on the story of Evelyn Valente, a sexual assault survivor and former inmate at the Central California Women's Facility. Valiente, who uses a pseudonym to protect her identity, was forced to share a housing unit with a male inmate who said he identified as a woman while serving time for killing someone in a shooting. At first, I thought it was going to be okay, but it didn't take long before this one particular individual was manipulative, calculating, vindictive, and always looking and seeking to do harm to another person, Valente said of the trans inmate who had a history of sex convictions. So this goes back to what I said before, that it is being said that these transgender women who are biologically male have sex crimes under their name. In 2020, California Governor Gavin Newsom, a Democrat, signed legislation requiring states' prison system to house inmates based on their gender identity and not their biological sex. Under the law, corrections officers are required to ask inmates privately how they identify and then work to house them accordingly. Before her time in prison, Valiente had been sexually assaulted. She said that being in the same housing unit as an individual who had been convicted of sex crimes, as well as other men, made it scary not only for her, but for many other women who had come from very abusive backgrounds. It's a lot of walking in trauma, Valiente said. Andrew Mew, storytelling manager for Independent Women's Forum and co-producer of the documentary series, told the Daily Caller News Foundation that although California lawmakers claimed that the transgender inmate bill was about keeping inmates safe, the law actually further victimized women in prison who often have been abused previously. It's really interesting that California, at the same time that they are focusing on being all about rehabilitation, are subjecting women to being re-traumatized by a lot of their personal triggers, Mew said. Many women who are in prison are victims of sexual assault, emotional abuse, physical abuse, and having men in their spaces can be a very big trigger for them. At the same time, it's allowing violent male criminals to have unbridled access to, in many cases, the thing that got them there in the first place. Currently, 5 states, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, California, New Jersey, as well as New York City, have passed laws allowing men who say they identify as women to be housed in women's prisons. However, other states, such as Wisconsin, reportedly moved biologically male offenders who say they identify as transgender to all female facilities despite their violent criminal histories. Very interesting information. September 2023, a female inmate sued Edna Mahon Correctional Facility in New Jersey after she said she was assaulted in prison by a male inmate identifying as transgender. Another female inmate from New York City filed a lawsuit in January claiming that a prison official instructed a male inmate who reportedly sexually assaulted her to say he identified as transgender so he could have access to female inmates. Wow, that's cold. So here we have an orchestrator and a puppeteer using the inmates to assault the women. This is deep. Muse said she and co-producer Kelsey Bowler wanted viewers to imagine how they would feel if someone they loved in a prison was forced to share a cell or housing unit with a transgender inmate who had a history of violence. People need to put themselves in the shoes of people who are in prison and just imagine yourselves in there. Imagine your own daughter in there, Muse said. There are a lot of things that could happen that could get you in prison that are complete accidents. So imagine yourself or your daughter is in that sort of accident. Put yourself in the shoes of the person there and think about how it would feel if you're being physically, emotionally, and in some cases, as we've seen, sexually threatened by male criminals while you're just trying to do your time and get home. The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation did not respond to the Daily Caller News Foundation's request for comment. DailySignal.com is the source of this information. So we have so many states allowing transgendered women to be housed with women, which is absolutely ridiculous to me. It's despicable. Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, California, New Jersey, New York City, and now Wisconsin. Evelyn Valente's story.
They look like linebackers with boobs. California has passed legislation allowing transgender inmates in the state's correctional facilities to be assigned housing based on their gender identity. These are big guys. They have the breasts, but they still look like football players. In September, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed Senate Bill 132 into law. They're not little. You might have one that's just short, but the majority of them are pretty big, burly. California now joins Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York City, and Massachusetts in recognizing inmates' gender identity. Sometimes they're angry. Their anger is pretty intense, so it's scary.
Cruel and unusual punishment.
Now being on parole, I don't want anything that could put me in a situation that they could use to violate me, send me back to prison, or give me a hard time. I mean, anything you say that these individuals can take, and it's discrimination right away. Discrimination. I shot into a house that had like 20 to 30, 40 people in there. And although my intentions weren't to murder anyone, I did. At first, I thought it was going to be okay. And it didn't take long before this one particular individual was manipulative, calculating, vindictive, and always looking and seeking to do harm to another person. We were in the same housing. I was blessed not to have to live in the same room, but some women do. And if you say that you don't want that person in a room, you get moved out. The women get moved out, not the one that identifies as a woman. If he didn't get his way, he felt, though I shouldn't have said that, but he is a man. He felt from his perspective that he was victimized. But in all actuality, he was victimizing others. When the individuals started coming from the other institution, they would come sometimes with a very threatening demeanor and attitude. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them did. And that was scary, especially if a lot of us as women, we've come from very abusive backgrounds. So it's a lot of walking in trauma.
I've been incarcerated now for 14 and a half years.
3 years. 23 and a half years.
I've been incarcerated for 30 years now, and I prefer to be in a woman's prison because I look at myself as a transgender woman, and I should be treated as a woman.
When we hear their voice, or when they're in that aggressive demeanor, attitude, that's when it was the most. I'm like, whew, I'm super uncomfortable. Oh, it's uncomfortable. It's like constant high alert. It's like this, oh my gosh, this is uncomfortable. That law wants to take away even the word woman. They want a different word in front of the word woman. Cis woman. I'm not a cis woman. I'm a woman. Why does there have to be a word in front of it? Now we're going backwards again. Because now you are men identifying as women, and now you want to take what we fought and what the women fought so hard to have.
I'm going to stop there to agree. Many Black women do not like to be called cis women. Straight heterosexual women do not like to be called cis women. I've played you content of Black women saying they don't like to be called cis women. And that's what's the problem with the LGBTQ community, with some people with these different pronouns and wordings to call other people. As you hear this woman saying, I'm a woman. I'm born a woman. I am a woman. I classify myself as a woman. There doesn't need to be another word put in front of woman, because I'm not a cis nothing. I'm a woman. I feel the same way. Don't call me a cis woman or nothing. I'm a woman. I'm a lady. I'm a female. And that's how I want to be identified. And that's where a lot of people have a problem with all these new pronunciations and titles. I said it during a live the other day. It was not to be disrespectful to anybody that's trans or gay or bisexual. That's not the point I'm making. The point is, you're entitled to call people what you choose to, but what you need to understand, the person who you identifying them as these different names, they may not like it. They may not like it. Just like you don't want to be called any derogatory name, or you don't want to be made up ass names. Well, that's how heterosexual people are going to feel. Don't give me no damn title that I've already earned or got or identify as. So I'm a woman, biologically a woman. I say I'm a woman, then leave it at that. Don't call me no cis nothing. And I've heard a lot of Black women say this, especially a lot of YouTube videos. They're pissed. They don't want you calling them cis shit. Maybe that's your short terminology for, hey, sis, hey, lady. Yeah, we said that a lot as Black people. Hey, sis, hey, sis. And now you decided to put it in front of woman. No. Call me a woman or you don't call me nothing. How about calling me by my damn name, my government name? See, people don't understand. It's these titles is what's causing the issue. Then you're bitching and you're moaning and complaining about what titles you want to be called. Well, a lot of people feel like this. Well, if I can just accept you as a human damn being, let's leave it at that. All these extra damn names. When I was doing the research a month ago and brought you content about the LGBT community and the identifications of, I couldn't keep up with all the different names. And I just was like, why should I have to learn all these names? I just repeated it because it was in the Google search. But what I'm trying to explain to people is, there's just certain things people are not trying to learn. They don't care. And my thing is, if they're treating you accordingly, then let that be just that. Hello, how are you doing? Good morning, good day. Trying to learn all these different terminologies and words and pronouns, and every other week you're going to change it to something else. So as I was telling somebody the other day in chat, why do I need to learn all these different names? They're going to change it in 6 months, so what's the point? Then God forbid you call somebody something. Well, that's not me. You got the wrong title. Okay, fuck it. Just say hello. How you doing? Good morning. That's it. And stop all this. I had a problem with this shit was happening at UT years ago. The kids talking about they want to be called certain pronouns. You're supposed to be at school getting a fucking education. Why are you worried about somebody calling you a he, a she, a they, a them? Some people may not agree with what I'm saying. I don't care. Because there's a fine line between just ridiculousness. You're going to school to get education. Why the fuck are you worried about what somebody's calling you over there at the university? You should be worried about going to school, getting an education. You're over there to get a fucking education. Fuck you worried about a pronoun. Yeah, I'm being truthful. My truth. Stay in your lane, mind your business, go to your school, get your education. Come on out of there. Come on out of there. If that's all you're focusing on is a pronoun while in college, you got bigger problems. That's my personal opinion. Because people will only identify you as what they think you are. So if you look like a man, you're going to be called a man. If you look like a woman, then they'll call you a woman. You can't get mad at people for that. They're judging you according to what they see.
Whether it's women's sports or even the prison that's for women. You have your own prison. You want to go in the women's bathroom. You have your own bathroom. Why do you want to take over the little that we have? I don't understand that. That law gives that community these rights that discount us as women. What about our rights? What about how we feel? No one asked us. No one asked us how we felt about this. No one did. From my perspective, it seems like the public cares more about what people think about the trans community. Yes, a lot of us did commit heinous crimes. We did, but so did those individuals. And they seem to overlook that part because it's about how they feel. Is this trans seems to be more important than what we're going through as women or women, period.
Exactly.
The word woman, period.
Exactly.
Honestly, I really don't think the public cares. I don't.
Independent Women's Forum. If you're curious, it's in the YouTube queue. If you'd like to go back and watch this content again, I agree with what this lady has to say. It's that we as women have come a long way to fight for women's rights. Let's say that first and foremost. To be a woman is hard work. We go through so much as women, females, biological women and females. We had to fight for everything. Rights to just walk, be ourselves, go to work, go to school, education, raising children, not want to raise children. The right to produce a life, not produce a life, okay? Right to vote. That was hard work for women to have to achieve those things. So to have it years later, 100 years later, have somebody arguing about being a man, a woman, female, it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. And that's what a trans person doesn't seem to understand. It's that you don't understand the struggle that a woman had to go through. Racism or not, white women had to fight just to vote before black people were even allowed to vote. Whether you're a black man or a woman, we couldn't even vote as black people. Now, a white woman, she was in her own separate box here in America. She couldn't even vote. She didn't have no fucking rights. So at some point in life, here in America, a lot of people had no rights. So it is disrespectful to fast forward hundreds of years later to be arguing about call me a woman, but I got a penis. And if you don't understand that, that's on you. But you don't have the right to tell a woman how she should feel who's a biological woman, and she earned the right to be that because that's how God made her. whether she's Christian, non-Christian, whatever. The point is she's biologically a female, and you, sir, ma'am, have no right to tell a woman what she should be called and how she should feel. You are banking your feelings on how she should feel according to what the fuck you feel. Well, a lot of people don't care how you feel. It's just the way it is. Because there are people who do not agree with homosexuality, bisexuality, however. And once again, we as women, we still have a fight just to be above this ground. We're still not treated equally. Whether you're black, white, Native American, Hispanic, a foreigner, it doesn't matter. Women are still deemed as underdogs. So to have a man dressed up as a woman or got his wee-wee snipped, it doesn't matter. You don't have the right to tell a woman how the fuck she should feel and how she should identify. And you don't have the right to give a woman a new name, pronoun. You don't own the right. You have no right. Because you are still a man. Your chromosomes are male. So you can wear eyelashes, makeup, dye your hair, wear a wig, get the surgery. You are still a boy. Checkmate. And I'm not here to tell a man or woman how he or she should feel or identify. Because I'm not in your shoes to say, oh, I grew up feeling like this or I felt like that. Where people have the problem, most people, is you trying to tell a person how they should feel as a heterosexual and possibly even a bisexual. Because everybody don't navigate the same, whether they like men, women, sample the pond, whatever. That's why it's best to speak for thyself. Speak for thyself. Say, I feel like this. So I'm going to speak from Queen. I am a woman, and I want to be identified as a woman. And I will not be addressed as nothing but a woman. Because I will not respond to nothing else but that. Now, how Susie Mae across the street identifies and what she will answer to, that is her choice. But I'm no cis nothing. You take that terminology over there in your corner and identify another woman as a cis female or whatever. If she decides she wants to respond to that, that is her choice. Queen ain't responding to it. That's my personal feeling. Thank you, Terry. Thank you for the donation, sweetheart. All right, let's get back to this nonsense. Being in prisons with women, transgendered women. Maybe they need a prison just for transgendered women. But then somebody say that's a waste of money. Who wants to build a prison just for transgendered women? So I'll put that up as a poll as well to get your opinion. CBS is the source.
Allowing transgender inmates in the state's correctional facilities to be assigned housing based on their gender identity. In September, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed Senate Bill 132 into law. California now joins Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York City, and Massachusetts in recognizing inmates' gender identity. So, State Senator Scott Wiener, a Democrat from San Francisco, is the author behind the bill and joins us now. So this is quite a change, quite an evolution in the understanding of what it means to be transgender. So talk to me about this law and what it means for transgender inmates.
Yeah, thank you for having me. SB 132 and the whole idea is to make sure that we're treating transgender people in prison or anywhere with the basic dignity and respect that they deserve, and to acknowledge that if you are a trans woman, you're a woman. If you're a trans man, you're a man. And in particular, right now, trans people are automatically held pursuant to their birth assigned gender. So trans women are automatically placed in men's facilities, and we know nationally that trans women are at extremely high risk of brutal assaults and sexual assaults in prison. And so this will help them be safer and will be a more humane and modern approach to our understanding of gender.
So based off of your interactions with some of those inmates, what do they say they've experienced behind bars while being misgendered?
Well, it's a spectrum. We actually went into the prisons. We met with trans women, trans men, and also cisgender women. And what the trans women in particularly tell us is it can range from smaller things like using the wrong names, wrong pronouns.
See what I'm saying?
To sort of more insulting.
Exactly what I'm saying.
To being raped, being badly beaten, and just being badly stigmatized. And a lot of times the trans women they'll stick together to try to defend each other, but they shouldn't have to do that. And so this will not force trans people to transfer to the facility corresponding to their gender identity, but give them the option to do that if they think that that's going to be safest for them.
That's really interesting. I want to sort of dig down a little bit deeper into just exactly how it works. You are an inmate, or you're about to be processed, I guess. And so you say, look, I identify as a woman, or I identify as a man. And then where does it go from there? Because I really don't know, are there special units within prisons, or are individuals, do they go into sort of the general population? How does it work?
Yeah, so we don't have special, transgender only jails or prisons.
Mm-hmm.
This is right now they're in the general population, either a men's or women's facility, and that will remain the case. And so they will be able to, whether they're going through intake, and they'll be asked what their gender is, what their gender identity is, and then that'll have to do with their choice for housing, and also for what gender guards will search them. And then if someone is an existing inmate, then they will be able to go to the prison authorities to express that. The bill does have a narrow flexibility for prison officials. If there is a specific security concern for a particular inmate, then the prison system can deny that transfer. But it has to be a very specifically articulable security concern specific to that inmate.
How open?
It can be a generalized concern.
Senator, let me ask you, how open and collaborative has the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation been to the idea of this law? Are there any loopholes?
No, they've been very open, and they worked very closely with us. And Governor Newsom, who has long been a champion for the LGBTQ community, made clear early on that he wanted us to work with prison officials to work through the details, and wanted to see a bill on his desk. And so we spent a lot of time with prison officials, and they had some senior people there who were very progressive and forward-looking on these issues. And they made clear to us that they wanted a law because that just makes it more formalized and more binding. But if we didn't pass the law, they would eventually do this administratively. So they were committed to the issue, and we actually we traveled to prisons together with prison officials and trans advocates to meet with people in prison. In addition, the prison agencies, CDCR is called, worked with the trans advocates and came up with a survey for transgender people throughout the prison system to fill out, so we could get data about their experiences and what they perceived, and it was very, very helpful, and it was a really strong process.
So Governor Gavin Newsom also nominated Martin Jenkins to the California Supreme Court on Monday, which would make him the court's first openly gay justice. Explain why this nomination is so significant, and what it could mean moving forward when it comes to future legislation, if he does get on the bench.
Yeah, so it was a huge step. I've known Justice Jenkins for a long time. I was a practicing attorney in San Francisco for 15 years when he was a federal district judge, and then Governor Brown put him on the State Court of Appeal, and he's just an exceptionally qualified and respected jurist. And I chair our legislative LGBTQ caucus in the legislature, And we had urged Governor Newsom early on, before the pandemic, that it got delayed because of the pandemic, to please appoint an LGBTQ justice. We've never had one. Our community is severely underrepresented in the judiciary, particularly at the appellate level. And to appoint Marty Jenkins, who's so qualified, as a gay man, also, to appoint a black gay man in a period of time where we are trying to grapple with, 400 years of structural racism, and black gay men in particular have had a really bad time in this country. It just sends so many positive messages about the direction of our state. And once again, whether it's trans people in prison or this appointment of Marty Jenkins, Gavin Newsom, who I've known for 20 years, back when he was a member of the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco, is someone who gets it when it comes to the LGBTQ community, and it's just one of the best allies we could ever have.
It was so surprising to me to read that he was the first. Because it's 2020, but it is wonderful.
So
it is wonderful to see that. Before we let you go, Senator, I wanted to get a pulse on the state's response and handling of the wildfires. What updates can you share with us?
It's like nothing I've ever seen. I'm in San Francisco, so I'm south and southwest of where the really bad fires are. But we're all interconnected, and we see it because the smoke comes into San Francisco, and I talked to my colleague.
I'm going to stop there. This content's from 3 years ago. This Democratic governor passed that law allowing transgender women to be housed in women facilities, which I do not agree with, based on gender identity. I don't think it was right. And as you see, New Jersey did the same thing years ago, and it became a problem because you end up getting women pregnant, and you can't explain that logically to the naked eye how women are getting pregnant in prison. It's going to be only two ways. They had sex with a man. So the first thing somebody's going to say is, well, if there are only women prisoners, then how are they impregnating one another when that's not humanly possible? Well, that is either a staff member or a staff member. Take your pick. Oh, well, we've changed that. We're now allowing trans women to be in here so they can get pregnant by the guard, a staff, a medical professional, and or a male inmate that identifies as a female. That's ridiculous. So that's why that facility was closed in New Jersey. Mahan facility was closed because of improprieties against the women inmates. Staff on inmate crimes, inmate on inmate crimes. And I'm glad they closed it because it's a waste of money. Paying for a facility and you've got a bunch of dirt going on. It's bad enough they were doing the dirt in the street. Now they're in prison. You still got dirty people in the prison. And that's the gist of it. Things don't change because people are locked up. That's what people need to understand about the prison system. What goes on in the street is going on in the jails and the prison. Drugs, talking on phones, selling, bartering items, sex, all of that. Rape, it's all the same. And it's a sad situation, but it's true. CBS News was the source of that information 3 years ago. So let's go back and check the polls again pertaining to Somaya Thomas. Chris Wells replied to the Queen. Good afternoon, beautiful Queen. I believe when someone makes false allegations that they should suffer the consequences of doing the time or whatever would be given if allegations were true. That would put an end to a lot of false reporting. Chris Wells. Once again, Somaya Thomas brought forward fake allegations against a man of beating her, hurting her, stalking her, but yet she had just met him online a week beforehand. And she called 911 because she didn't want to go on the date. But allegedly he left her house. So I'm very curious to what happened at that home. He was held for an hour, but then released. Feel free to go back to the beginning of this live to get the said information. What should her punishment be? 1 year probation, fines, etc., 45%. 1 year in jail, 14%. 1 year in prison, 10%. More than 1 year in prison, 17%. Not sure, 14%. 71 votes. Brought you information pertaining to California passing the law to house trans women in prisons with females. I brought you commentary from New York Post of a woman who was sexually assaulted by a trans prisoner. Also brought you information pertaining to Demi Minor from Fox 26 Houston. Him not being pleased with being sent to an all-male prison because the prison in New Jersey was closed. I also brought you content pertaining to him as well by News 12 of 2 inmates in a New Jersey women's prison who got pregnant by this same fella, Mr. Minor, Demi Minor. At the beginning of this live stream, I also brought you commentary pertaining to Henry Dinkin, who was accused of killing his son's sister, Breasia, and he's received 2 life sentences, and now he has just gotten sentenced additionally for federal drug charges. Currently, there is an African-American female from Chicago missing in the Bahamas. Feel free to go to my community page to check out those latest updates. Now I'll read you the polls and the answers from yesterday's live stream. Should hospitals, clinics perform abortions to girls, women who have been molested, SA, and incest, even if the state has abortion ban? Yes, 86%. No, 7%. Not sure, 6%. Don't care, 1%. Even if some states do not have legal abortion, should the abortion pill be accessible to women? 74% yes, 17% no. Not sure, 4%. Don't care, 1%. Offered in all states with or without the law, 4%. Should a person receive jail time or prison for dialing 911 and making a full claim, assault, theft, or alleged crime? 75% yes, 2% no, 5% not sure, 2% don't care, 16% says depends on the claim. FYI, California allows trans women to be housed in women's prisons. Women's prison. Is this right? 9% yes, 75% no, 9% not sure, 7% don't care. Feel free to check out my early morning live pertaining to lift stations. As many of you know, Caleb Harris is still missing. His parents have been notified of remains found in a lift station in Corpus Christi. I posted videos to show you how a lift station works in case you're not familiar with the lift station and its functions. I discussed that during this early morning's live. Please check out that live and those said videos on my community page. Now that Julian Assange is free, will he stay out of trouble? 26% yes, 38% no, 16% not sure, 9% don't care, and 12% probably not. Was Julian Assange wrong for leaking secret government documents? 23% yes, 57% no, 12% not sure, 8% don't care. Was Chelsea Manning wrong for giving Julian Assange cohort secret government documents? 54% yes, 29% no, 11% not sure, 7% don't care. Should Chelsea Manning still be incarcerated in a military prison? 42% yes, 32% no, 13% not sure, 10% don't care, 3% she should have been given a life sentence. And most of you who are not familiar with the story, Chelsea was a man in the military. She now identifies as a woman, and she gave secrets to Mr. Julian Assange of WikiLeaks, the founder, and he published those secret documents to the public. We learned that Chelsea Manning was in prison. She was serving a lot of time in prison. Can't remember the exact amount, but at the time, 7 years she had done and was commuted by former President Obama. Should the president at that time, Mr. Obama, have commuted Chelsea Manning's sentence? 30% yes, 50% no, 7% not sure, 13% don't care. Just bringing you the latest information pertaining to my polls from yesterday's live. It has been 2 years since Roe versus Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court. Was it the right decision? 25% yes, 63% no, 7% not sure, 5% of you said you don't care. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has worked out a plea deal with the United States government. He is now a free man. Should he have been granted freedom from a British prison? 73% yes, 18% no, 2% not sure, 7% don't care. His wife has also spoken out. And once again, congratulations to the University of Tennessee baseball team for winning their championship. It is the anniversary of Roe versus Wade. It was overturned by the Supreme Court. Feel free to check out my community page and take those polls. And once again, we're waiting on identification for the remains found in a Corpus Christi lift station. Are they the remains of Caleb Harris? I've tried not to talk much about the subject only because there has been no identification. But one comment that was left on my page last night was very interesting. Someone in the chat said, what if the roommates are involved? Very interesting question, because I have not heard anyone mention anything about the roommates. I have not followed anyone's content on YouTube pertaining to Caleb Harris. I've chosen not to, just like I'm choosing not to follow any other YouTubers' content pertaining to Sebastian Rogers, Summerwells, or any other missing children cases, decedents. I've decided that I will not engage in listening to any more filth and lies pertaining to true crime here on YouTube. I asked you all the other day about why people are quitting their jobs, according to backstabbing, petty co-workers, employees, because I brought you a live stream pertaining to backstabbing, gossip. Do you think a higher percentage of people are quitting their jobs because of these actions? 44% said yes, 21% said no, 9% not sure, 26% says probably, 50-50. Just bringing you updates. Please check out my other content pertaining to Leilani Simon. She's complaining about her jailhouse conditions. 20% of you said you don't care. 1% of you concerned. 1% says accommodator. 78% of you said let her suffer. Andrea Yates must serve 40 years to be considered for parole, which she will be 77 years old at the time. Should she be granted parole? 16% yes. 71% says no. 13% of you said you are not sure. Did the jury render the right decision for her unaliving her 5 children? 91% yes, 5% no, 3% says they are not sure. Should you be charged with first-degree murder and given a bond if you leave your child inside of a hot car and your child perishes? 78% says yes to both. 6% said no. 11% not sure of either. 5% says it should be a lesser charge with a bond. Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream. I'm going to play one more content pertaining to transgender inmates, and then I'm going to check out of here.
At night,
This content you're about to hear is uploaded 4 years ago. NBC News is a source. And these are transgendered men who want to be moved out of male prisons. I will also put that as a poll as well. Should they be removed, male prisoners, into women prisons because they identify as being female? Thank you for joining me.
it's difficult being a woman in a men's prison. I have faced rape, being assaulted, discrimination.
Being referred as he can be sometimes degrading.
Sometimes you have low self-esteem because they look at you if you wear makeup and they want to talk crazy behind your back or to your face, and you can't do nothing about it. There's a lot of these guys that don't understand transgender living, and we just don't like to hear from the inmates. We hear from the staff as well.
I've been incarcerated now for 14 and a half years.
3 years.
23 and a half years. I've been incarcerated for 30 years now, and I prefer to be in a woman's prison because I look at myself as a transgender woman, and I should be treated as a woman.
It was a crime spree. I was robbing women for their accessories, their purses, their makeup, because I was too afraid to go into the stores and buy my own things because of the backlash from the streets.
At the California Institution for Men in Chino, where minimum security prisoners sleep on bunk beds in large shared spaces and spend their days in the communal yard, there are 78 female transgender prisoners living among more than 3,500 men.
My first night in prison, it started when I got in the police car. I was terrified. So I get to the county jail, then I get undressed, and then like, when I take off my shirt, it's like, okay, is this individual a man or is a female? So one of the things that they wanted to ask the question, I could see it in their face because I had breasts at that point. So I told them, I said, I was born male, but at night I identified as female. So it was like, okay, we got you in the right spot.
For many of these trans incarcerated people, they'd rather be housed with the gender they identify with. Something prisons are required by the Federal Prison Rape Elimination Act to consider on a case-by-case basis.
I prefer to be housed with my identity. Okay, but being here with the other guys, you have to fit into where you can fit in. Otherwise, they're going to cast you out.
Being a transgender woman at this facility, it's a lot harder because there's no privacy. Zero privacy in the showers. The housing unit itself is wide open.
In the bunk spaces, getting dressed, putting lotion on, just stuff like that is very, it's hard.
But for many trans...
Let me ask the chat. You hear these few transgendered females complaining about the conditions or the treatment, rather, as being openly feminine in prisons. Well, one would say, you know this. You knew that when you went to prison. So why exacerbate the situation to be bullied and or ostracized and or hurt by wanting to wear eyeliner, makeup, lipstick? Why put yourself in that situation to risk being hurt or harmed? Because a man can look at another man and say, well, he appears feminine. He acts, quote, gay. So why put yourself in that situation of now adding makeup and what some would consider flaming around a prison, knowing this would make a man look at you in that way as a woman, draw attention to thyself, put yourself in a situation of being sexually accosted. Why put yourself in that situation? Many people are going to ask that question because I think you're exacerbating what is already a dangerous situation for men who are in there. They've been in there a long time. They're possibly gay themselves, bisexual themselves. Now they're becoming horny, turned on, however you want to word it. And now you're walking around with lipstick and makeup, but yet you're complaining saying, I'd feel better if I was in a women's prison. But yet we've seen the downfall. That doesn't work either because you all are still having sex with women. Maybe you wouldn't do it, but then another trans woman would, which we've seen this, the guy getting the other women pregnant. And I believe he also went in as a minor, which I thought that was interesting. But we already know that if a minor is going into a prison, period, that means you've committed some atrocious crimes to be put into a prison as a child. Stay woke. Stay woke. And you all have violent offenses as a transgender woman, man, however you want to word it. So people are going to look at it as, I don't care. You are a threat to society, whoever you are, however you identify. So you need to go into the prison that is of the same sex.
Trans women serving time with men, sexual violence is the real fear. According to the Justice Department, 35% of incarcerated trans people report being sexually assaulted, either by other prisoners or prison staff. LGBTQ advocates believe the real numbers may actually be far higher, but prisoners fear retaliation for reporting attacks.
I was raped and attempted to be raped in 2015 by an individual I was in a cell with. He hit me. And when he hit me so hard where I flew into the door. He came in to start beating me and just ripping my clothes off me. The CO apparently heard me falling up against the door and come running up the stairs. I filed a complaint about it and they come back now unsubstantiated because of the fact that he didn't penetrate me without no evidence. It didn't happen. It didn't exist.
California's Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation declined to comment on Michelle's allegations. Federal law requires states to ask transgender prisoners every 6 months whether they feel safe and to take that into account when deciding where to house them. But according to an NBC News investigation, of the 4,890 incarcerated trans people currently being tracked nationally, only 15 are housed according to their lived gender. 6 states, which account for nearly 40% of the total incarcerated transgender population, cited privacy concerns and declined to provide housing data. 5 states failed to provide any information at all. At Chino, most of the 10 transgender women NBC News spoke to said they wanted to be moved to a female prison, but they've either been denied or not been asked about their safety concerns. California's Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation says it can't discuss individual cases due to privacy concerns. It does say California houses some trans people according to their lived gender, but declined to provide details. Amy Miller oversees the placement of women in California's prisons.
We actually have a process where we talk to our transgender population. We interview them twice a year to talk about their safety in their housing and their placement, and whether or not they are looking for changes or believe that they need to have accommodations because of their status as being transgender or for any other reason. Can I say for sure what the extent of that interview was, how it was conducted? Maybe, maybe not.
Do you get interviewed every 6 months about where you feel safest?
No, I get interviewed once a year.
About where you feel safest?
No. It's my annual review, and they say you will do it in absentia. The question about my safety in a woman or a men's facility has never been asked. Not once.
Well, I asked to go to a women's prison because I am a woman. We're not coming over there with no objectives. We're coming over there to be safe. They're women, we're women. We just want to be safe and have more opportunities to be who we are.
All right. NBC News is the source of that information. Feel free to go to my community board to check out all the sources of this information. And I just found another story here. Transgender women share stories from a men's prison. I'm going to share that also to my community page. Because I'm almost at 2 hours, I'm going to go ahead and end this live stream. Maybe I'll do another live stream pertaining to this storyline of men in prisons wanting out. Maybe that'll be the next live I do. I want to thank you all for your time and tuning in to this network. Thank you for all the new subs, mods, viewers, old subscribers, old viewers. This was a 2-part live pertaining to Somaya Thomas, 18, African-American female who was arrested for faux allegations against a man that he was harming her, stabbing her, just some weird nonsense because she met him online and didn't want to meet him. But the weird part about the story is that the articles I brought to you says he left her home. So I don't understand how she brought it upon herself to call to say she didn't want to meet him when he allegedly left her house. There's something fishy about that story, but allegedly the cops corroborated his information through text messages, and after an hour of detainment, he was let go. She's also been freed as well. Don't know the bond, don't know what will happen to her, probably probation, because each crime has been considered misdemeanors. Trans female assaults. Trans women who have committed assaults against inmates in a prison. I brought you that content. It's older. From the state of New Jersey, the prison is no longer open due to improprieties done against the inmates by guards and other inmates. One inmate, a male who identified as a female, African-American, he got 2 women pregnant in the same New Jersey prison. You also will hear of a woman who's filed a lawsuit from that same prison, bringing forward allegations of being harassed by a male inmate or a trans woman. I do believe this might be the same guy. I'm not really sure because she used plural for transgenders. So obviously she had issues or some type of improprieties by more than one transgender female. I cannot get any information on who she is and the current state of the lawsuit against the state of New Jersey. but that prison is no longer functioning. It has been disbanded. That is the said commentary for this live stream, 2-part live. Feel free to go into the YouTube queue to check out my shorts. I will be doing a few shorts this evening pertaining to this subject matter and breaking news. I have a lot of shorts that I put up, and know that any content I bring to you on this network in the form of a video, a live stream, I also make a short pertaining to that subject matter for those who do not want to watch a 1 hour, 2 hour live stream, which I totally understand, because the live streams can become very winded, and the more content you bring and audio you play, the longer the live becomes. So know that there's always a 15-second short on the subject matter. As I said, tonight I will upload shorts pertaining to men in prisons, men wanting to get out, this allegation of these, well, it's not an allegation, women who got pregnant. Look forward to seeing that in the queue tonight. Once again, movie of the week is Talk Radio. Thank you all for joining me. Yes, I know, Penny. Hello, Penny. How are you? Thank you so much. It's just a sad situation. But I want to make this clear, because I don't want anyone misunderstanding anything I said during this live stream. I don't care how anyone identifies himself or herself. That is your choice. That is your business. Who you take up with in a personal relationship, that is your business. The only problem I have with this, the LGBTQ community, are the pronouns and the names, and you identifying, straight women as cis, blah, blah, blah. I'm not with none of that, and I won't be identified as that. I will be called a woman, and that's just the bottom line. There's no ifs, ands, or buts or arguments. I'm not going to argue with a complete stranger about being called a cis anything. That's not my name, first of all, and that's not how I identify myself. If that's the word you want to use for heterosexual women and you are the LGBTQ community, that's your choice. But know that you may not get a warm reception. That's it. All the different pronouns, I don't keep up with them because I don't have a reason to. And that's my personal choice. I don't have to, because I'm looking at people just as they are, people. I either like you or I don't. So it doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, tall, fat, Mexican, Jew, Arab. I'll either take to you or I won't. Do I have a problem with men dressing up with women? Yes. As women, yes, I do. Using a public restroom in a woman's stall? Yes, I do. For the very reason I'm talking about the subject matter right now. You don't know the mindset of the people, period. So a man dressed up as a woman, it does not matter what he is telling me, you, whomever. It does not mean that once he gets in the company of the woman that he will act accordingly. So that's been the problem with the restroom issue, and now this issue with prisons allowing men to be in the prisons with women. You now have sexual assaults and the women becoming pregnant, and whether it's consensual or not, we know that the prisons do not condone sex between inmates for the obvious reason. They're of the same sex. They know it's going to happen, but they don't condone it. So logically, you can't explain women popping up pregnant in a prison. Come on, do the math. So you're going to be investigated on that alone. Well, how did she get pregnant? Oh, how did the other one get pregnant? What the hell is going on here? Women getting pregnant in the same prison. Oh, that's because you let a man stay in the prison who identifies as a female. In any state allowing this, I read you those states. East Coast has a few states. This is ridiculous to me. This is a stupid law to allow any man to be in a prison with a woman. That is ignorant. Because if that's the case, you're going to be having a whole lot of men in prison saying, oh, I identify as a female. Let's touch on that, then I'm checking out of here. It's the same thing with the restroom business. It's the same thing with the prison. Anybody could just jump up and say, I want to be a woman. I am a woman. And now you move them out of a fucking men's prison and put them in a women's prison. That makes no damn logical sense. It's disrespectful to a woman. It's disrespectful, whether she's an inmate or not. And if you're going to start that protocol, you might as well just have prisons have both men and women inside. And how's that going to work? Men and women in the same cell. Hell yeah, there's going to be sexual assaults, pregnancies. Women being unalive, choked, suffocated, beat up, hung. Come on, stop the bullshit. And I don't give a damn what your nationality is, your political affiliation. This shouldn't be going on. And that governor, you're ignorant. I am a Democrat, and I don't agree with everything that Democrats do. This is why I tell people, stop judging people according to what one group votes on. There are a lot of things that Democrats have done I don't agree with. Okay? Most of my views are really conservative. I'm liberated in my free thinking. But a lot of things I feel about the world is of conservative nature. But I believe everyone should have an equal chance to live, be free, roam, but in a dignified, civil manner. Are we going to make mistakes? Am I going to be flawed? Of course, it's common sense. But there are a lot of things that are done democratically I don't condone, I don't agree with. And this is one of those things. I don't care how you choose to live. You want to go buy makeup, shoes, dresses, and you're a man and wear them. That is your prerogative. But you cannot tell me to call you a woman. You cannot make me call you a woman. And I don't have to identify with the government, condoning what the government is doing, state government, by allowing trans women to be in prisons with other women. This makes no logical sense. You are assuming he's only going to want a man, desire a man. Well, you now see that's not true because you're judging it on your own thought process, and you can't bank on that. He's still a man by nature, makeup or no makeup. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $McAndrew 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Thank you for the donations, stickers, chats. God bless all of you. Stay warm. Stay cool. Sorry about that. Stay cool in your designated spaces. Drink a lot of water and fluids. Fresh vegetables and fruits with water. Amen. Tune in to the next live stream. I will come up with a juicy topic, which I already have one stored and waiting for you tomorrow. It'll be in the Your Crazy America segment that is new to this network, where I bring you crazy, outrageous behavior from your American citizens and neighbors. Look forward to joining me tomorrow afternoon for a live stream pertaining to some wacky, weird behavior. Go to my community page to check updates for breaking news and stories, and also my shorts in the YouTube queue. Queen has thousands of videos since 2019. Feel free to go in my extensive library to choose a topic of your liking and listen to the said content. Some of it's true stories, some of it's hypothetical situations, and the rest is true crime and breaking news. Thank you all so much. Love all of you. You've been listening to the Vault XL. Thank you.